The final whistle had barely faded when a bombshell began tearing through Argentine football. Argentina had lost to Spain, but the defeat itself was only the beginning. Within hours, reports claimed Lionel Scaloni was preparing to resign. Then an even more shocking name appeared, Lionel Messi. And according to the same reports, several senior players were considering following them out. A team that had entered the match dreaming of another world. Title suddenly looked as if it were collapsing from the inside. Spain had not simply won the final. They had exposed every weakness Argentina had tried to hide. From the opening minutes, Spain controlled the rhythm, moved the ball with confidence, and forced Argentina into long periods of desperate defending. Argentina looked slow. Their midfield looked disconnected. Their attack looked isolated. And the decisions from the bench only made the situation worse. Lionel Scaloni had built his reputation on courage. He had made difficult choices before. He had trusted young players, changed systems, and found solutions when Argentina were under pressure. That boldness had helped turn the national team into champions. But in the biggest match of the tournament, the same coach appeared trapped by loyalty to his old heroes. The first major controversy was Lautaro Martínez. He had been one of Argentina's most dangerous attackers. He had scored important goals. He had produced a brilliant finish in the previous match. His form suggested he was ready for the final. Yet Scaloni did not start him. More shockingly, he did not bring him on from the bench. Lautaro watched the entire match while Argentina searched desperately for a goal. Instead, Julian Alvarez started through the middle. Nobody questioned Alvarez's quality. He was a world-class striker with energy, movement, and the ability to press defenders. But against Spain, he barely entered the match. The service never arrived. He struggled to hold the ball, and Argentina's attack became increasingly harmless. As Spain grew stronger, the question became impossible to ignore. Why was Argentina's most reliable finisher still sitting on the bench? The criticism did not stop there. Nico Gonzalez was selected despite offering almost nothing in attack. His runs created little danger. His final decisions failed to trouble Spain, and his presence did not solve Argentina's lack of speed or creativity. Behind him, the midfield was collapsing. Alexis Mac Allister, normally one of Argentina's most intelligent players, became almost invisible. Rodrigo de Paul, usually the team's emotional engine, could not impose himself. The players who had once carried Argentina through the most difficult matches suddenly looked exhausted. Spain took advantage. They pressed higher. They recovered the ball faster. They forced Argentina backward again and again. Every minute made the difference between the two teams more obvious. Scaloni could see what was happening. The entire stadium could see it. Argentina needed fresh legs. They needed young players willing to run at Spain's defense. They needed speed, aggression, and unpredictability. Their bench contained exactly those options. Hungry players were waiting. Players who had spent the tournament hoping for one chance. Players capable of changing the rhythm of the final. But the changes did not come. Scaloni stayed loyal to the same structure. He trusted the veterans who had delivered glory in the previous World Cup. Those players were national heroes. They had earned respect forever, but respect could not hide the truth. Several of them were no longer performing at the same level. The final demanded something new. Scaloni refused to release it. By the time Spain scored, the damage had already been done. Argentina had spent too long reacting instead of attacking. The substitutions that should have changed the match came too late or never came at all. The team possessed weapons. The coach simply did not use them. After the match, criticism exploded. Supporters questioned the lineup. Analysts attacked the substitutions. Former players asked why Scaloni had ignored the warning signs. The most painful accusation was simple. Argentina had not lost because they lacked talent. They had lost because the talent available had not been used correctly. Then attention turned toward Messi. Throughout the final, he appeared to be one of the few Argentine players still fighting for every ball. He dropped deeper to find possession. He tried to connect midfield and attack. He searched for spaces that Spain refused to give him, even when the team around him slowed. Messi continued demanding the primus ball, but one player could not repair an entire tactical collapse. Spain surrounded him. They cut off his passing options. They forced him away from the areas where he could cause the greatest damage. And when Messi looked around for support, too many teammates appeared, physically and emotionally finished. That image became the symbol of Argentina's defeat. Messi fighting, Spain controlling, and an Argentine bench full of unused solution. Afterward, Scaloni reportedly accepted responsibility. He admitted the plan had failed. He acknowledged that the team had not responded correctly to Spain's dominance. Those words were honest, but they also intensified the crisis. If the coach knew the plan was failing, why had he waited? Why had Lautaro remained on the bench? Why had younger players not been trusted? Why had Argentina continued with a system Spain had already solved? Then came the reports that changed the story from a painful defeat into a national emergency. Scaloni was said to be considering his resignation. The manager who had restored Argentina to the summit of world football might be walking away. For years, he had carried the pressure of managing Messi's generation. He had survived criticism. He had delivered trophies. He had created one of the strongest groups in international football. Now, one failed final threatened to end everything. But Scaloni was not the only one. Reports also suggested Messi would not play another World Cup. At his age, the possibility had always existed. Yet hearing it after such a devastating loss made it feel brutally real. There would be no perfect farewell, no final trophy, no last celebration beneath a sky filled with Argentine colors. Instead, his World Cup story might have ended with Spain controlling the match and Argentina collapsing around him. Other veterans were also linked with departures. Players who had formed the heart of the championship team were suddenly facing the end. Some had lost their place physically. Others had reached the natural conclusion of their international careers. Together, their possible exits created the image of an entire generation disappearing at once. The defeat had not only cost Argentina a trophy, it may have destroyed the team that had defined the country for years. That was the true shock. Spain had won one match. Argentina might have lost an era. Scaloni's future was uncertain. Messi's World Cup journey appeared finished. Senior players were reportedly preparing to leave, and the younger generation would be forced to rebuild beneath the weight of impossible expectations. The final had exposed tactical mistakes. It had exposed tired legs. It had exposed a coach who trusted the coach past for too long. But the most frightening consequence came after the match. Argentina entered the stadium as former world champions, chasing one more miracle. They left facing resignations, division, and the possibility that the greatest chapter in their history had just ended without warning.